Tashi Dilik, and welcome everyone to the 2-day conference on Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta, Theory and Practice in Theravada and Mahayana, organized by Tibet House, the Cultural Center of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, New Delhi. We are very honored to have Honorable Kalyum, Venerable Kama Gele Yudho, Minister of Religion and Culture, Central Tibetan Administration, Dharamsala, Professor S.R. Bhatt, former Chairman, Indian Council for Indian Council of Philosophical Research, Venerable Dr. Dhamma Piya Ji, International Buddhist Secretary General, International Buddhist Confederation, as keynote speaker from the Theravada perspective, and all the scholars from different parts of India and the world who joined us today. Both in Tibet and in India, we have a tradition that to start something auspicious, we light the lamp. So may I request our chief guest and our guest of honor, our keynote speaker, to light the lamp. Honorable Kalyum, Venerable Kama Gele Yudho, Venerable Dr. Dhamma Piya Ji, and Professor S.R. Bhatt, Venerable Geshe Doji Damdila, Director, Tibet House. May I now request all the dignitaries to take their respective seat on the dais. May I now request Venerable Geshe Doji Damdila, Director, Tibet House, to present the souvenirs to our chief guest and guest of honor and our keynote speaker. Honorable Kalyum, Venerable Kama Gele Yudho, Professor S.R. Bhatt Ji, guest of honor, former Chairman, Indian Council of Philosophical Research. Venerable Dr. Dhamma Piya Ji, Secretary General, International Buddhist Confederation. Thank you, Geshila. Before we proceed further, I would like to briefly introduce you about Tibet House and its activities. Tibet House, New Delhi was established in 1965 by His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet for the purpose of preserving the cultural heritage of Tibet at a time when it faced extinction in its homeland, as well as for providing a center for Tibetan culture and Buddhist studies. His Holiness the Dalai Lama's recurring emphasis on developing a sense of universal harmony and compassion with the need for a meaningful exchange between different religious and cultural traditions also had a profound effect on the purpose and activities of Tibet House. Over a period of 5 decades since its inception, Tibet House has come to be recognized as a significant institution of Tibetan culture and Buddhist studies. Tibet House has a museum whose purpose, in His Holiness' words, to bring the heritage of the past in close contact with values that are current. A library housing a sizable collection of important books and manuscripts, a publication unit, and a program division which regularly organizes lectures, seminars, conferences, film screenings, and exhibitions. As an increasing number of people worldwide get interested in Tibetan Buddhist and Tibetan studies and Buddhist teachings, the horizons of Tibet House continue to expand. In 2016, Tibet House launched a 4-year master's course in Nalanda Buddhist philosophy in the presence and blessings of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, which has now 360 participants from over 39 countries. And in 2018, we launched a 1-year program, diploma course in Nalanda Buddhist philosophy, which has now 560 participants from 42 countries. This course was completed this month, and now we have opened the registration for new batch, and the courses will commence in this January. So you can find more details about our programs and in our brochures given to you, and you can subscribe to our mailing list where you will get our weekly updates of our programs. Sorry. Now may I request Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdila, Director, Tibet House, to address the gathering. Thank you.
Respected Honorable Cabinet Minister, the most venerable teacher Genkamagele Yutok La from Central Tibetan Administration, and Dr. Venerable Dhamma Biaji, the Secretary General of the International Buddhist Confederation, and Dr. S.R. Bhatt, who is a well-respected philosopher and logician and epistemologist, and a widely respected and renowned scholar. It's a great honor for us, Tibet House, that we're organizing this program on Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta or Satipaṭṭhāna Sutra. And the point is that this conference, so Tibet House, as the Secretary explained, we organize many conferences, mostly academic conferences, and so today we see the need to blend the two things, academic, the rigor, and the practice. Most of you, perhaps, I'm confident that you know about His Holiness the Dalai Lama's the vision of the universal ethics for the world, And the world at the moment, we see that it's being divided into, on the basis of the religions, on the basis of the ethnicities, on the basis of the social strata, and so forth. And then meanwhile, these divides, instead of helping, it only harms the world. So in this connection, His Holiness has a great vision for the world, that the world, we should not underestimate the oneness of the humanity, the oneness of our qualities, the ground, instead of focusing on the divisions, splits, the differences. So in this connection, His Holiness, I personally would say that of these many years of taking charge of Tibet House, of many years of meeting with many prominent people, I would be very confident to say that in this world today, if there's one great celebrity who is working for the world, not for my nation, not for your nation, so forth, not for my religion, for your religion, so forth, for the world at large, it is His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And anybody who is a sensible person, who is a sensible, brilliant, and with heart, would surely feel that what he does, what His Holiness does for the world, particularly pertaining to the universal ethics, this becomes so pertinent, so relevant to today's world, where the world is boiling with the fights, controversies, then the terrorism, corruption, and so forth. So therefore, I say, let us all, and I can see that this group, when I entered this space here, I could feel the warmth there, that these people who take part in this program, the conference on the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta. So these people will not at all enter into these chaotic, creating problems to the world. So this, I think, is the benefit of the like-minded people, the need for the like-minded people to come together and then have brainstorming and then reach out to the world to tell the world that there are differences, there are also the similarities. Okay, so with this in mind, I would personally very strongly say that the most venerable, honorable Cabinet Minister, Gulmohar, the most venerable teacher, Gen Kamageli Yuto, when I was in the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics, I've been hearing about him as an incredibly great scholar, very bright, the topper in his school while he was in school, and then while being in the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics, where he was graduated, and I was there as a newcomer. And again, coming to know that he was a topper in the Institute of Buddhist Studies as well. And then recently, I happened to just hear one of his, the lectures or the talk, and just one line hit me with the incredibly profound impact in my mind that he really represents the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta, the real practitioner. And then I also, so this is my great admiration in him. And then the Venerable Dhammabiyaji, the Secretary General of the IBC. So I've been knowing him for many years, since the first time that he invited His Holiness the Dalai Lama to his place there. And then from there, we know each other well, not really too well, and then later on, working together in the Ministry of Culture. So there I came to know him more closely, and I was so impressed, more than the designation so forth, as a person, as a practitioner. So this is something which I'm so happy about, to know such a great personality who embodies both qualities of the scholarship and the practice. And so we have and then you may be wondering, what about my relationship with Professor S.R. Bhatt-ji? So Professor S. Bhatt-ji, we have been encountering, sometimes having even debates, all the way from Varanasi to the airport. Varanasi Institute to the airport, we're having some debates there, all 1 hour, and debates on the philosophy, philosophy, logic, and so forth. And I could see that we are very fortunate today we see that it is somebody who's an enlightened being there. So, on this topic, the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta, Tibetan, Dotambanyasha, theory and practice in Theravada Mahayana. So, this forms the ground. So, this forms the ground of the commonality, ground of the oneness of the three traditions, three brothers or the three sisters of the Buddha's teachings, Theravada Buddhism and Chinese Buddhism and the Tibetan Buddhism, or the people often call it as Vajrayana Buddhism, so I call it Tibetan Buddhism. And then of course, as the branches, we have Korean Buddhism, Vietnamese Buddhism, Burmese Buddhism, and so forth, Japanese Zen, and so forth. So this teaching is what tells us that we are all from the same teacher. We all are rooted to the same teacher, that is Buddha Shakyamuni. Okay, so in this connection, me having the another responsibility, that is as a keynote speaker from the perspective of the Mahayana tradition on the Satipaṭṭhāna the Sutra, how that is understood or read in the Mahayana Sutra, practice Mahayana Sutra. So there, we see that the root is the Buddha Shakyamuni's own teaching, that is Satipaṭṭhāna Sutra, which was taught in Kamasadama, in Kuru, the place known as Kuru. So this is where the sutra was taught. And then so this sutra, when the Buddha taught, is not that, okay, and now today I'm going to teach the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutra according to the Theravada tradition, and tomorrow I'll teach according to the Mahayana tradition. This is not the case. So this is what the Buddha taught for the benefit of the humanity, for the benefit of sentient beings. And then later on, say, translations. Some people translate the same text into Pali, not really translated, so more kept in Pali. Some people kept it in Sanskrit, and later translated into Chinese, Tibetan, and so forth. And then came to be known as, okay, say the differences. Otherwise, ideally speaking, there is no difference there. So what I'd like to quickly share with you within I have 7 minutes. So within that, I would like to make it real quick that how that is, the concept is not that difficult. Concept per se of the Satipaṭṭhāna, the four mindfulnesses. The placement of the four mindfulnesses is not that complicated. If you read the sutra itself, it's so beautiful and it's very easy to be practiced. So from the way in which the Mahayana tradition, or what we acquired from the interpretations done by the great Nalanda masters of the same sutra, Satipaṭṭhāna Sutra, so they're one of the greatest of the teachers is the Arya Sangha, 4th century AD, Arya Sangha. So there, of course, we study this in the great monastic universities across the Tibetan tradition, Sakya, Kaikyu, Nyingma, Gelug. And later on, after completing studies, I happened to revisit the texts written by Arya Sangha. And then there, I could see that the understanding of the same four mindfulnesses, mindfulness of body, mindfulness of the feeling, and some people translate it as sensation is fine. Then the mindfulness of the mind, mindfulness of the phenomena, or the Dhamma, or the Dharma. So there, I read the Arya Sangha's version, and the interpretation. And at one point, I got a feeling that there is something very unique link amongst these the practices of mindfulnesses. And then I thought, this is something more like, okay, I'm happy that I'm discovering something. And later on, when I read Arya Sangha's the explanations, it's so detailed. The same four mindfulnesses, Satipaṭṭhāna, being explained in so many different ways, and the one of which was what came to my mind. That was, then I realized I was so humbled to see that this Arya Sangha is really great, really erudite, and like a vast encyclopedia. So this was what I felt. So basically the point is that I would summarize the whole thing, how we study the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutra, and in an implicit way, in an explicit way, direct, indirect, in the monastic universities across the Tibetan traditions, Sakyaka, Gyunying, Gelug. So there we see that the four mindfulnesses. So basically the idea is to bring about the transformation within oneself. This basic idea. And the point is that we all crave, whether you are Buddhist or not, whether you're male or female, whether you are, say, the educated or uneducated, everybody finds it aspires to achieve two goals. One is the fearlessness or freedom from suffering, and number two is to achieve the full awakening, that is Buddhahood. In other words, in short, say more technically, everybody aspires for the fearlessness and the infinite happiness. And fearlessness, we can put it technically as Nibbana, Nirvana, Arhatship, and the infinite happiness as the Buddhahood. So this is what we can understand technically. So now how to achieve that state? So there, first to begin with the approach to the Nibbana or the Nirvana or the fearlessness, the freedom from all miseries. So there, the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutra, this is so relevant. And in fact, as we see that without this practice, we can't really get there. So, as the great teacher, Acharya Kamalashil, 8th century great saint scholar, what he said is that all the teachings of the Buddha, whatever, all the teachings of Buddha, either they are pointing to the ultimate reality, or they will take you to the ultimate reality, or they will establish you in the ultimate reality. Finally, given that all our problems, which the Buddha identified as the ignorance, the source of the problems, Buddha identified as the ignorance, particularly ignorance related to identifying what the ultimate reality is constituted of. So there, given that that is the final root, and it is by uprooting this problem. To uproot this problem, we need to introduce counterforce, where the Buddha emphasized the need for prajna, the wisdom. This way the Buddha emphasized, and this wisdom involves many layers. Some wisdom will point to the ultimate reality. Some wisdom will take you there, and some wisdom will establish you there in the ultimate reality, which is the direct counterforce, or the direct remedy to overcome the ignorance, self-grasping ignorance, and thereby freeing us from all suffering. So now we see that the Satipaṭṭhāna, the four mindfulnesses, we see that the mindfulness of the body to be impure, or the body to be repulsive. Number one is mindfulness of the body, and then how that is understood according to Arya Sangha, can be understood in a brief way, understood in two ways. That is, on the cursory form, the body to be repulsive in nature, body to be impure in nature, the body that we have. That is one. And then the feelings or the sensations, mindfulness of sensation, mindfulness of the feelings. That is to see the feelings not as something attractive or desirable, but as of miserable. Feelings to be miserable in nature. And of course, within that, we can understand how the feelings are transitory and how the feelings arise. And these are all very sophisticated, which involve very sophisticated philosophy and psychology and epistemology. And then the mind to be transient in nature, how the mind arises moment by moment, and how the mind ceases moment by moment, not the mind in general, how the mind disintegrates moment by moment, how it arises, how it ceases, and the mind to be impermanent. And then finally, the phenomena of the physical, the world, and the mental world, how they are of the nature of the selflessness, what the true nature is, the selfless nature. Okay, this is the first level of the understanding of the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutra according to Arya Sangha. Then the second level, where so that is, this first level is for us, some of them, to point us to the ultimate reality. Because only if we feel that where I'm now, the world that I live in now, that is not something too healthy. This is the nature of the repulsion, is the nature of the impurities, the nature of the impermanence. Then we will not crave, will not be glued to this world. So when that happens, then you will want to move. So what made us to move there is because of this recognition of the body to be impure and the sensations or the feelings to be the suffering nature. So with this, then you want to get out of this. So these teachings help us to identify where that you have to go towards the ultimate reality. Then the next, the fourth one, that is the mindfulness of the phenomena, mindfulness of the Dhamma, in its, the form of the physical world and the mental world. So there, then it leads us there. It leads us to the ultimate reality. Then finally, if you understand the four mindfulnesses in the context of each of these, the basis, the body to be of the empty nature, then the feelings to be of empty nature, likewise the mind to be empty nature, likewise the phenomena Dhamma to be empty nature. So that is when you are established into the ultimate reality. So there, then you are left with no room for one to be glued to samsara. So that is how it is establishing you into the ultimate reality, and that realization is the remedy to overcome the subtlest of the ignorance, which is self-grasping ignorance, the ignorance which views things to be objectively real, independent real, or truly real. So once that is overcome, then one achieves the state of total liberation or freedom. Okay, this is the overall, and then I will really appreciate inspire, encourage every one of us, and particularly those who have access to Tibetan, to read the Arya Sangha's text, the Nyentugisa, the Shravaka Bhumi. If you can read that, then it'll just open you into the encyclopedia of the Satipaṭṭhāna. Okay, thank you so much, and I'm very fortunate that with the chief guest here, and Venerable Dhammapiya here, and then we have Dr. the S.R. Bhaji, and all the venerables here, and the great scholars. So this is, let us not keep this for ourselves. Let us learn and grow from this, and then see how we can disseminate this, share this message of the Satipaṭṭhāna to as many other people as possible. Thank you, one and all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Geshe-la. Now may I request Venerable Dr. Dhammapiya, who will be delivering the keynote address from the Theravada perspective. Venerable Dr. Dhammapiya is the Secretary General of International Buddhist Confederation, IBC. The International Buddhist Confederation is a global umbrella Buddhist body headquartered in New Delhi, India. Established under the patronage of the Supreme Buddhist Religious Hierarchy, currently has a membership drawn from 39 countries of over 320 organizations, both monastic and lay, that include world bodies, national and regional federations, orders, temple bodies, and monasteries, etc. He is also founder of Dhamma Deepa Foundation, Secretary General of the Northeast India Buddhist Sangha Council, and the founder and chairman for Bahujan Hidya Education Trust, Manu Bangu, Tripura. Apart from holding this prestigious post, he is also the professor and principal of the Michael Madhusudan Datta College, Tripura. He is also running a charitable residential school named Dhammadipa Senior Secondary School, along with a monastic education institution named Dhammadipa International Buddhist Academy, where over 150 Buddhist monks and novices are given monastic education and are being trained in meditation and Dhamma courses. Venerable Dr. Dhammapiya has also actively participated in several national and international conferences and workshops in India and abroad since 1994. Venerable Dr. Dhammapiya ji.
A very good morning to everyone. I think that lengthy introduction was not required. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Mita nisa karo loke samabhatu sukhang karo. Mita siddhalang ransehi sukhantu pusita paja. Ekang samayang bhagava kuru suviharati. Kamma sadhammang nama kurunang nigamo. Tatra ko bhagava bhikkhu amantesi bhikkhoti. Bhadante titi bhikkhu bhagavato pachasosam bhagava itadaocha. Ekayano ayang bhikkhave maggo sattanang visuddhya. Soka paridevanang samati kamaya dukkha dumanasanang athangamaya jnanassa adhigamaya nibbanassa sachikiriyaya yadidang cattaro satipaṭṭhāna katame cattaro. Ida bhikkhave bhikkhu kaye kayanupassi viharati. Atapi sampajño satima. Vineya loke abhijja dumanasanang. Vedanasu vedananupassi viharati. Atapi sampajño satima. Vineya loke abhijja dumanasang. Chitte chittanupassi viharati. Atapi sampajño satima. Vineya loke abhijado manasang. Dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati. Atapi sampajño satima. Vineya loke abhijado manasang. As we are discussing on Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta, I thought better I just chant the first few lines of the sutta. Most Venerable Chief Guest of today's inaugural session, Karma Gelek Yothukji, Most Venerable this Director of Tibet House, Venerable Damdolji, respected Esarbat, members of Mahasangha, scholars, Dhamma brothers, sisters, and friends. I have been given the assignment to talk about Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta from the Theravada perspective, I understand. As we see, the topic Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta, theory and practice in Theravada and Mahayana. The sutta means discourse or sermon or teaching. The discourse or the sermon or the teaching given by the Sakyamuni Buddha, as our Venerable Damdulji has said. The Satipaṭṭhāna can also be equated with Dhamma, because whatever the Buddha has spoken, it is the Dhamma. And this Dhamma is always non-sectarian. It is the universal truth. That's what I was thinking, whether it will be appropriate to talk about Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta from Theravada perspective as such. Of course, it might be the case we have learned and practiced Satipaṭṭhāna being a Buddhist monk or follower of the Buddha from Theravada tradition. It might be the case. But I understand the teaching cannot be too different. This Satipaṭṭhāna, the word, the term, we can just divide it into two, Sati and Paṭṭhāna, or Upaṭṭhāna. It's there already, I think. Sati plus Paṭṭhāna or Upaṭṭhāna. The Sati is very important. Many of us, of course not many of us here, I think, because most of delegates here are very scholar, I understand, who have studied a lot on this Satipaṭṭhāna. But most of us in general, we have the question in our mind, why is this Satipaṭṭhāna? This the word Sati, which means mindfulness. This mindfulness is very, very important, whether knowingly or unknowingly, whether in our professional life or in daily life, whether we are working or doing work or doing some business or something, whatever we are doing, we are definitely practicing this sati, either we know or not. It may be at shallow level, it may be at surface level, but sati, the mindfulness, that we have been practicing it. Here, the paṭṭhāna or upaṭṭhāna means to be established firmly, deeply. So when we use sati in our daily life without knowing it or being aware that we are using the mindfulness in our daily activities, that time it may not be that deep. When we walk, we work with awareness. It is the autopilot of our mind that we know what is coming from the left, what is coming from the right, what is there before us, where to step, long or what. Automatically it works because our mind has been trained in such a way that we have to be aware of the surrounding in order to exist and operate. But here, this sati or awareness is not only at the surface level or the existential value. We have to move beyond. That is why Satipaṭṭhāna. We have to go deeper and deeper in getting this sati or mindfulness firmly established in our mind, feeling, and knowledge and wisdom. When we are aware about the things at the surface level, it may not give rise to knowledge or wisdom, which is necessary to eradicate the defilements. Somebody has asked me, what is Satipaṭṭhāna? I did not know, in fact. Then I asked a monk, what is Satipaṭṭhāna? He said, Satipaṭṭhāna is a direct path to Nibbana. That's all. Don't ask anymore. If you ask more questions, you'll get confused. You'll be debating, arguing, and giving different perspectives. You'll get lost. It is the path that you have to follow. If you're interested to go to Nibbana, you follow it. Otherwise, you get lost in arguments. That's what the academic communities they are doing. That's what his perspective of Satipaṭṭhāna. What I would like to say is, I think I have only 10 minutes time. Maybe I'll take so much time. Okay. Only 10 minutes I'm given. Satipaṭṭhāna is a tested way, a research which has already been done by the Buddha himself and by many of his followers in hundreds and thousands who have achieved the arahatship, the full enlightenment, full eradication of the defilements. So this tested and research way said by Buddha in this sutta as ekayano ayang bhikkhave magga sattanang visuddhya. That means this way, the Satipaṭṭhāna, the way, the practice is the way to purify, transform the beings. Here, beings may be human beings, of course, maybe other beings also who are intelligent enough to follow and practice the sati at the deepest level. Here today, we are to talk about Satipaṭṭhāna. I do not know. The theory is okay, but when we are to have something about the practice of Satipaṭṭhāna, I think the practice is not to be spoken about. That's what I was thinking, whether we are here to really practice Satipaṭṭhāna or only to talk about Satipaṭṭhāna. And Satipaṭṭhāna, the awareness of mindfulness, is not only to be discussed about, not only to be spoken about. Of course, it is necessary for clarity to have information. The how about the technique, the why about the technique, what about the technique, the way necessary to have theoretical knowledge. It's like if we are to talk about the swimming, and only talk about swimming and never get into water, I think swimming is not meaningful to talk only in the conference hall. Swimming will be complete only when we all get ready to jump into water, dive into water, and start swimming. Then we'll have practical experience of the swimming. So I understand Satipaṭṭhāna, it has 4 stages to be mindful about that our scholars will be delivering in their deliberations today. We can learn more about that. Thus, I am here to give only keynotes, the key points, where it is spoken, kaya nupassya viharati. So be mindful about the phenomena that arises within the framework of the body. Whatever happens with the physical body, within the physical framework of the human being, of the person, either inside or outside, definitely we can observe whatever happens within ourselves, within oneself, and be mindful about that. One stage. Second is the feeling level. Vedana. Vedana su vedana nupassya viharati. So, at the feeling level, we can only feel whatever happens within us, within oneself, not what happens to other person. So whatever happens at the feeling level, to be mindful about that. Then to be mindful about things that's happening, occurring in the mind, and also the content of the mind. The 4 areas or the objects of Satipaṭṭhāna or to be mindful about. Then some of you might ask, why only these 4? Definitely, you can have many things. It's up to you. But if you see, what is more important for Buddha is be within yourself. You can transform and purify yourself only when you look within yourself. Transformation by self-observation and self-purification. That's why these 4 objects of mindfulness are connected to the person. If you are to have some object outside the being, some object of God or goddess or some symbols, that is fine. It's being done by many people. But here, it is not suggested. We are supposed to live within, with our own feeling, our own sensation, our own body, our own mind, which is always with us. And these are the tools that can bring us to a stage where the piled up impurities, defilements can be eradicated. That's last. How these defilements can be eradicated? What is the purpose of this Satipaṭṭhāna practice? As we know, from the time we are born, there have been hundreds of thousands of impressions imprinted in our mind, in the psyche, in our experiences. Desirable, undesirable, pleasant, unpleasant, painful. So many kinds of impressions have been imprinting on our psyche and mind. And most of the imprints, they remain. We think they are gone. They are not gone. They remain with us. And if we see our behavior in daily life get affected by the experiences and imprints of those that we have had in our past lives. Past life doesn't mean the life beyond this life. It might have been, which we call sankhara, but even in this life also. So when we practice this mindfulness, when we are aware of the physical sensation or mental, always at the deeper level, slowly what happens is the imprints of the mind, the manifest, that comes up, and slowly that disappears. So this helps us to remove those imprints, those sankharas, the defilements which are there in the mind, in the psyche. And it takes us to the extent, to the point where all these defilements are totally removed. Defilements which are responsible for our unhappiness, for our stress, strain, many other things. Some music started. Maybe I have to stop. Okay. Yeah, because I'm signaled by music to stop. Actually, I'm coming to the point. Okay. So this, I guess I was trying to say how and why this Satipatthana is useful. So it is useful in our practical life to reduce strain, stress, and many other conditions which are responsible making the world today a very difficult world. As our Venerable was saying, the whole world is suffering from different kind of challenges everywhere. And when the mind is purified, a person is purified, then what develops is compassion, loving kindness. They're automatically developed. And when the compassion and loving kindness is developed, definitely we can have a better world. Therefore, this Satipatthana is important for us from the social point of view, from the existential point of view, even from samsaric point of view, that we can go beyond the physical and mental suffering. That's called Nibbana. This theory and practice, in Pali we have two terms. It's called Pariyatti and Patipatti. Pariyatti is the information, the basic knowledge required to start with, necessary. Pariyatti. Then we have Patipatti. Patipatti includes again two stages. That is the initial stage and the intensive stage. I think we can call it probably the Samatha and Vipassana. Samatha is the initial stage when we gather the knowledge about mindfulness, and to start, we start not directly Vipassana, we start with Samatha, that is to be mindful initially with the feelings, with the physical and the mental concomitants. When mind gets concentrated, unshaken, firm, then we go to the Vipassana. In Vipassana, we know each and every particle, each and every subatomic particle that arises and passes away, that arises and goes away within the framework of mind and body. We know, we experience it, that there is nothing solid in our body and mind, but at some level it becomes only a flow of energy, only energy, like a hollow. At that level, we get the stage of jhana, we call that, absorption. First, second, third, fourth, up to 8. Then we have deeper, intensive vipassana meditation of the Satipaṭṭhāna, which can transcend our experience, the sensual experience, or the experiences based on the 5 senses, even the 6 senses, including mind, beyond the sense organs and the mind organ, that is the Nibbana, which has no word to be explained, but to be experienced by everyone. I hope after discussing this, having theoretical knowledge, we can all practice and experience that beyond time and space experience, the Nibbana in our everyday life, in our life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Venerable Dr. Dhammapiya Ji. Now may I request our guest of honor, Professor S.R. Bhatt Ji, to address the gathering. Professor S.R. Bhatt is an eminent philosopher and Sanskritist. At present, he is National Fellow of Indian Council of Social Science Research, Ministry of HRD, Government of India. He is the Chairman of Indian Philosophical Congress and Asian African Philosophy Congress. He is internationally known as an authority on ancient Indian culture, Buddhism, Jainism, and Vedanta. He is a member of many national and international associations. He is a member of Board of Advisor of Council for Research in Values and Philosophy, Washington, D.C. He has authored, translated, and edited 25 books, and he has more than 150 published research papers to his credit. Professor S.R. Bhatt Ji.
Salutations to Lord Buddha, salutations to His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, namaskar to all of you. Most Venerable Sri Karma Gelek Thuk Yutho, Most Venerable Sri Dhammapiya Ji, Most Venerable Geshe Dorji Demkul Ji, and distinguished scholars, ladies and gentlemen. This particular text available both in Majjhima Nikaya and Digha Nikaya is in fact a symbiosis of theory and practice as envisaged by Lord Buddha. Lord Buddha realized, and we also have that sort of experience, that our worldly life is finite and imperfect, and because of that we have miseries and sufferings. No one would like to be in suffering. Everyone would like to get rid of that. Lord Buddha, on the basis of extensive study and subtle reflection and deep meditation, realized the true nature of reality and the causes which give rise to finitude and suffering, and the way out also. He was regarded as Bhaisajya Guru, supreme physician, because he could put forth the most efficacious and surest path for eradication of all sufferings due to defilements and transcend the worldly life. So, in worldly life, we have not a proper understanding of the nature of reality. All phenomena have a dependent origination. They come into existence due to some causal collocation, and with the dissipation of that causal collocation, they also come to an end. Nothing is permanent. But we mistake the impermanent to be permanent. We call it as a mithya drishti. So, samyak jnana or samyak drishti is the prerequisite for going beyond the mundane life of imperfection. This mithya drishti gives rise to infatuation, and that infatuation gives rise to many defilements. There is a causal concatenation. And therefore, to start with, we should have a right understanding of the nature of reality. Reality within and reality outside. Reality within is represented by body, by our feelings and sensations, emotions, and so forth. It is also represented by our consciousness, the cognizing faculty, our chitta. And because of this sort of misunderstanding, we also do not regard the outer world in its proper form. And therefore, to begin with, we should have a right understanding. Only when we have right understanding, then only we can have a successful worldly life, transcend the imperfections of the worldly life, and go beyond. Dharmakirti, in his text, Nyaya Bindu, begins with this: Samyak Jnana Purvika Sarva Purushartha Siddhi. So all human achievements which are worthy to be realized, they are preceded by right knowledge. So when we talk of sati, in fact it stands for proper understanding of the internal as well as the outer reality. We generally regard body as the self and something which is permanent, whereas body is always fleeting, and there is nothing which is lasting so far as our body is concerned. But we identify ourselves with the body, though we do say it is my body, but when we say it is my body, what exactly do we mean? Is the hand the body, the legs the body, the eyes are ear? What exactly is the body? Body is not just a conglomeration also of all these things. And therefore, we do not have a proper understanding of the nature of our body. Similarly, our feelings, they are caused, but we do not have proper understanding of the causal conditions which give rise to, of course, we would like to have good feelings and avoid the bad ones, but then this is not within our control. And therefore, we have to look to the causal conditions and get rid of those causal conditions which give rise to all sorts of miseries, calamities, infatuations, and so forth. So far as our consciousness is concerned, well, it can be virtuous, kushal chitta, it can be vicious, akushal chitta. Again, this kushal chitta and akushal chitta are due to their own respective causal conditions, and we have to know those causal conditions which give rise to akushal chitta, vicious mind, and it is vicious mind which results in all sorts of problems, all sorts of conflicts. In fact, every existence has the same Buddha bhava, Buddha essence, and therefore there has to be the experience of fundamental unity or commonness of all existences. Particularly in case of human being, this is more important, because human being is self-conscious and resociative. Self-conscious means knows one's own self, and also makes a distinction between that which is the real self and that which is falsely mistaken as the self. So, it is human being who is primarily concerned with the acquisition of knowledge and putting that knowledge into practice. In case of Buddhism, we have a very sound theoretical foundation and also a viable practical application. The theoretical foundation is provided by what we call as egolessness, anatma bhava. And its practical counterpart is what we call as Satipaṭṭhāna, or Sati, or in the form of Anapanasati and also Vipassana, the two stages. And therefore, we have first of all acquire the knowledge of the true nature of reality. In this cosmos, we find that all objects have a dependent origination. And that dependent origination implies that nothing is permanent. So this feeling that body is permanent or our self is permanent is a mistaken belief. It's not reality. And therefore we have to lead the mundane life with this sort of understanding. Mundane life, the worldly life is meaningful. It is not to be negated. But its proper nature is to be understood. There should not be any attachment to this worldly life. We have not to negate it, as Nagarjuna rightly pointed out, vyavaharama anashritya paramartho na deshyate. So our aim should be to go to Paramarth. And to go to Paramarth, we have to realize that all worldly objects are swabhava shunya. And therefore, we have to reckon with them only to the extent to which they are beneficial to us. And thereafter, we have to transcend them. So, nirvana stands for realization of our finitude, need to transcend the finitude and realize the real nature of infinity. This infinity is nothing but acquisition or realization of Buddha Bhava, wherein we see all as one. This idea that all is one is also now accepted in quantum physics, where we have been told that all phenomena are closely interrelated. And if we feel and experience this sort of interrelatedness of all phenomena, then there won't be any discrimination. There will not be, diversity is there, but diversity will be experienced as having fundamental unity. So in this sense, we will find that there will be cosmic order maintained, cosmic peace also maintained, and there will be mutual reciprocal cooperation. Shantideva, in his Bodhacharya avatar, has used two very key but very I think subtle concepts. One is Paratma Samata and the other is Paratma Parivartana. To have this experience of self-sameness and to transform oneself as others. Non-distinction between self and our own self and the other. So if this is the experience, then there will be no problems in the world. There won't be any clinging to objects which do not permanently belong to us. Most of the problems are because of this clinging, trishna. And it is this which affects both our capacity to know and also our capacity to act or perform. Therefore, we have to begin with the right understanding of the nature of reality and accordingly shape our mode of living. So Buddhism is at once both a mode of knowing and also a way of living. Knowledge and conduct go together. They are two sides of the same coin, and therefore we have to begin with knowledge, right knowledge, And this right knowledge can come provided we have a genuine mental makeup. Our psyche should be pure. And if our psyche is pure, then we can have a proper understanding. Otherwise, our understanding of the reality will always be clouded. And we won't be having proper understanding, samyak jnana of the nature of reality. Therefore, symbiosis of knowledge and conduct is necessary. Knowledge without conduct is barren. But conduct without knowledge is blind. Both should go together. So, to begin with, we should have right understanding of the nature of reality, and thereafter we should shape our life, our mode of living in accordance with that particular knowledge. In teachings of Lord Buddha, therefore, we begin with the prajna, which provides the theoretical foundation, and then it must lead to shila, a virtuous mode of living. And for that, for both acquisition of prajna and also having the practice of shila, samadhi is needed. Concentration. We have to concentrate on the right understanding of the nature of reality. A sort of meditation is therefore helpful. This meditation is basically mental alertness. It is the mind which is responsible for spread of virtues or spread of vices. We have to adhere to virtues and shun vices, and for that we require alertness of the mind. So this is mindfulness. Of course, 4 types of mindfulness are already mentioned. The kaya, the vedana, the chitta, and the dhamma. Dhamma means the objects, phenomena that we have. And for all this, proper understanding is required so that we do not deviate from false view, false understanding, which is caused by our say infatuations, by our vices, which are there, which we, in fact, vices are all adventitious. They come from outside, from external causal conditions. And therefore, we have to create such conditions in our worldly life that these vices do not affect us. And that is why we have to care for universal love. We call it as, you can say, prema, universal compassion, Maha Karuna, that alone will lead to universal peace. And for this, Satipaṭṭhāna is one of the significant way. It is by Buddha himself regarded as something which is direct path, an easier one. There can be other paths also, but this is the most efficacious, direct and easy, and therefore it should be practiced, but it should be practiced with due care and proper knowledge. Otherwise, its practice may lead you astray. So it is something which is methodical and progressive. First step and then next step and so forth. So proper practice of this is helpful, and it will definitely lead to mental tranquility, equipoise. And if we have this equipoise, then definitely we shall have right mode of knowing and proper way of living. And therefore, this text is very much significant. Basically, it is there in the Pali literature, in Sutta Pitaka. Yeah, just a minute. But it has been expounded and elaborated in later text. So a reference has been made to Kamalashila, Shantarakshit, and in Tattva Sangraha discusses the details of it. More details are discussed from the Mahayana point of view in Bodhicharya Avatar by Shanti Deva, and we have different traditions. Of course, foundation is the same, fundamentals are the same, but in Theravada we may have a Burmese tradition or a Ceylonese tradition. In Mahayana we may have some other traditions. Even in China we have a different tradition. In Vietnam also we have Sun Buddhism, which is another tradition. In South Korea also, like that. So the differences are only in minor details. Otherwise, fundamentals are the same. I am grateful to Most Venerable Geshe Demdulji for inviting me and sharing my stray thoughts with you people. I am not an expert in this field. My field is Buddhist philosophy, not so much practice part of it. Anyway, I am here to learn more and hope that our deliberations will be enlightening, both in theory as well as in practice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor S.R. Bhattji. Now, may I request our chief guest, Honorable Kalyum Venerable Kama Gele Yuthola, to address the gathering. Venerable Kama Gele Yutho is currently the Honorable Kalyum Minister of Religious and Cultural Affairs, Central Tibetan Administration, Dharamsala, India. He has been serving the Central Tibetan Administration since 1986 in various administrative positions. He served as the representative of His Holiness the Dalai Lama for Japan and East Asia for 9 years. At that time, he was also a visiting professor at Risho University at Tokyo, Japan. He also served as Secretary of Department of Education, CTA, India for a decade. Venerable Kama Gele Yuthola has traveled over 20 countries and represented Tibet, the Council of Religious and Cultural Affairs of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and the Department of Religion and Culture, CTA, at various international conferences. Venerable Kalyum Kama Gele Yuthola.
Kange tenjin dewan junga wa meba chemeba cheba meba tameba wa meba ndromeba tate teme tenjin me toba ni shishiden ba zobe sanje manam tamba tela chatse lo toni ninje sondu jugbelam cheche senze kanje dendro chana tenjin gyatola so adepso shedan ndro sho Honorable members of the Mahasangha, Honorable Guest of Honor, Venerable Dr. Dhammapiyaji, Professor S.R. Bhattji, and the respected Director of Tibet House, Geshe Doji Damdulaji, distinguished guests, learned speakers, and participants of this conference, dear brothers and sisters in the Dharma. First of all, I would like to extend My sincere greetings to all of you on behalf of the Department of Religion and Culture of the Central Tibetan Administration and on my own behalf. I feel very fortunate and privileged to be here today with you all on the occasion of this special international and intertraditional Buddhist conference. I would like to heartily congratulate Tibet House, New Delhi, its director, Venerable Gishi Doji Damdula, and his team of staff for organizing this important and innovative international conference and a gathering of Buddhist scholars from various traditions. Tibet House has doubled, if not tripled, its efforts in promotion of the Buddhist studies in general and the Nalanda and Tibetan Buddhist studies in particular since its 50th anniversary in 2017. I would like to thank, appreciate, and congratulate the director and all his staff on this account. It is very much in line and tune with the contemporary need of the Buddhists, and also in line and tune with the sacred vision of His Holiness, the Great 14th Dalai Lama. It's extremely important and worthwhile for the world Buddhists to get together, to know each other, to share their traditions, knowledge and history and experience, if they were to serve the Buddha Dhamma and the world of their the Buddha Dhamma and the world of their century. There are a lot to talk about the theme and subject of this conference, but it's not for me to talk about them. I have come here primarily to show and offer my moral support to the spirit and vision of this kind of gathering and to listen to your presentations on the theme through day one sessions. However, I do want to share one basic thing which I happened to learn about the Tibetan version of Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta contained in Kanjur, translated words of the Buddha or the Tripitaka. It is titled Thambe Chö Temba Nyawa Shakwe Do in Tibetan and Saddharma Smitruyu Upasthana Sutra in Sanskrit. It appears to be a very large sutra in size. Buddha Shakyamuni is said to have taught this sutra somewhere in or near Rajgir. It contains 36,000 shlokas, or 4-line verses, and contained in 4 huge volumes. Up to 36% of it from the beginning was recorded as translated during the earlier period, most probably the 8th century, and the remaining 64% of it was recorded as translated during much later, in 11th century, by the famous translator Patsap Lotsa Watsurum Gyenje, with the help of several learned Indian Buddhist Pandits through comparison of some 4 or 5 Indian texts available at that time. As many of you must be aware of, I have come across a wonderful treatise in verses on the content of the sutra by the 3rd Karmapa Rangjung Dorji in early 14th century. It has 10 chapters. would be around 70 to 80 page normal book size. Reading this treatise in verses feels like reading some refined version of Abhidhamma Kosha by Acharya Basubandhu. The first chapter is on Gyunde Temba, or the cause and effect in general or essence. Second chapter on hell, Nyaveliu. Third chapter on Idakiliu, that's the hungry spirits. Fourth chapter on animal, Tendriliu. Fifth chapter on human, Miliu. Sixth chapter on Dongam Gilha, the desired realm gods. And seventh chapter on Sungam, the form realm. Eighth chapter on Sugmekham, the formless realm. The ninth chapter on Jigtenkham Duva, the realm of the words in essence or general. The 10th chapter is Nangilu and Lamtemba, means inner body and paths. This treatise clearly mentions in the end that up to Sumjusa Sumpa, or the Trayas Trinsha heaven, was translated in 8th century, and up to Thabde, or the Yama abode, was translated by Pasab Lotsawa much later in the 11th century. The author Kamaba Rangjung Dorji says that this Sanskrit or Indian source text after Thabdel chapter, or the part, was missing, and he supplemented the remaining part from other similar sutras and commentaries of the same content. So, at the end, I wish you all a very meaningful, enlightening, and successful conference, and deeply pray that the great sutra of Temba Nyawar Sherpa, which can also be translated somewhere as the presence of the mindfulness, may help our contemporary world to regain and strengthen its power and value of mindfulness, or the presence of mind, on the proper objects, and experience the true happiness and liberation from all sufferings. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Honorable Kalya Venerable Kamagele Yudocho. Tibet House has been offering Tibetan language course, and till now 18 batch have completed. Today we are going to award the students, award the certificates to the students who have completed the 18 batch. May I request Honorable Kalya Venerable Kamagele Yudocho to award the certificates to the students. Ms. Abira Bhattacharya, Mr. Krishna Thapa, Ms. Surabhi, Mr. Amit Chaudhary, Mr. Amit Chaudhary, Ms. Kajol Singh, Mr. Nikhil Jha, Ms. Aradhana, and Ms. Shefali Yadav. I request the language student, Tibetan language student, to come up on the stage and take a group picture. Thank you. We'll now break for tea and refreshment, and I would like to thank our chief guest, our guest of honor, and our keynote speaker. So tea will be served on the left of this hall, and the washrooms are on the right. Our first session, placement of mindfulness of body and feeling, will start at 11:50 a.m. Thank you. No,